Hi, Anders. I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. So lovely to chat to you. How are you doing?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Maybe you could just kick off with a brief intro to Riders of Justice. Very unique film. What can people expect if they come to watch it?
Well, I mean, they can expect to be surprised, I think, because it is a mix of genres, and you don't really know where it's going. So that's one thing.
And where did the idea come from? Where did you start from? Because it's kind of a deconstruction of the thriller genre, or you've really got a mix there between the kind of black comedy and then the ultra violence and lots of different things going on. So what made you decide to make this particular film?
Well, honestly, it was a genre. I mean, I wanted to experiment with genres. I've done that in my previous films, but this time I wanted to take a step further because I love genre films myself if they're really well made. But I think a lot of times, genres it's just a sales tool that's there to tell us what we're getting, right? So we know, are we having Italian? Are we having Japanese? What are we having? And this is, I think I pitched it as a buffet, this one, because you don't really, you don't really know what you're getting. That was the primary goal we had, to make, you could also say, to make a naturalistic drama play together with a really weird dark humored comedy, to make that function along with several other genres. But yeah.
And one of the first questions needs to be about Mads Mikkelsen. I mean, obviously you've worked with him before. He's almost unrecognizable in this film. So what do you think that sets him apart as an actor in general, that makes you want to work with him so much? And why was he perfect for this role, kind of transformed in a way for it?
Yeah, well, here I needed, for this role, it's the first time he plays how do you say, a straight man. In the other films I've done, he's been like the odd, really twisted character. So that was also tough for him to be the one who. It is more boring to play that kind of guy when all the others have the funny lines and stuff. But for this part, he was perfect because I needed this badass macho man with a lot of emotions inside that you could only slightly see, which is Mads, which is he's perfect for that. But that said, he can do anything. That's why I really, I love working with him, because he is, for me, the perfect actor. He's really good at this, psychology. He's an old dancer, which you saw in Another Round. He's so precise in his movements. He's great at dialogue. He has a fantastic face, and he's a team player. When you shoot with him, he takes responsibility for the whole movie. And he is, honestly, I know I hope he doesn't hear it, but he is the perfect actor.
And he seems to be enjoying something of a moment right now. I mean, obviously he's had an extensive career up leading to this point, but it feels like this is his moment. He's really on a high.
Yeah, he's in every major franchise ever made soon, so it's quite amazing, which is also fun to watch, because we've done short movies together 25 years ago. So it's I'm just happy to see him be in Indiana Jones, one of my youth's favorite films. So that's very exciting.
Yeah. But it's not just Mads, is it? It's kind of an ensemble cast in some ways, this bunch of misfits all bouncing off each other, particularly, that brings some of the best banter, with the nerds that he's working alongside with, and so on and so forth. So, how important was it you to get the rest of the cast right as well?
Oh yeah, very important, because it is a very, very tight balance we're walking here with, especially Otto's role, Nikolai Likos, because he's sort of the glue between Mads and his daughter's naturalistic story and the nerds. So we had, we had to be very. Let's say it this way: I rewrote a lot after rehearsals and with the cast, and we had a lot of work to do on the shooting and again on editing. So it's the cast is everything in a film like this, because if you step a little, there's nothing worse than demanding a laugh that's not there, right? Especially and going from a very serious emotional scene to a laugh is also, if the laugh doesn't work, it's horrible. So
yeah. And was that a challenge? Because you do kind of shift very quickly, breakneck speed from kind of violence and sort of serious moments to these sort of like pushing the boundaries of bad taste in a way. But you get the balance right. But was that something that you had to kind of keep your eye on?
That was the single most. We spent most of the time working on exactly that, in a collaboration where everybody, because it's a gut feeling, and it's and you do it as well as you can when you write it, then you do it as well as you can when you shoot it. But eventually I had two really good editors, and we took out a lot of funny lines and scenes in order to maintain that balance, because every time you have a laugh too much, you lose an emotion. So we cut away a lot of Otto's funny lines.
That's a shame, but it's still very funny.
It is, yeah, because it would have been a more fun film, but you wouldn't have had any emotional impact. It would have ruined that. So I mean, you can always do a bit better. There are some things when I see it now I probably would have changed, but it's I like the balance we have. And
I think the British can sometimes be a bit. We sort of think that we own like irony and this very dry sense of humor, but do you think that's something that's actually very particularly Danish as well? You've got your own slant on humor that's kind of got something in common with the British humor as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think it's irony, and there's a lot of places where they own irony, and you should go to Finland or any remote island in the north. You will find sarcasm and irony like never before. But it's true, we do share something. I mean, it's always when I go to film festivals, it's always Brits. I end up with Scots and Brits, and I mean, and the Scandinavians and Scots and Brits, they end up for some reason, and that's because we do share the humor, I think.
And like you say, it's not just the dark comedy, it's not just the violence, there's a lot of emotion that goes on there, and it actually deals with some, quite big issues, like how we deal with grief and loss, and what is the meaning of life. Can we explain things outside of there being coincidences? So, how much was that something that you wanted to say with the film, kind of going on a slightly deeper level?
Well, the whole idea is this. How do you explain the unexplainable? How do you move on in life when you can't see any connections and you don't have any reason to move on, and don't have any tools, when you don't connect with your emotions and can't talk to your daughter? So underneath, it's a really serious. I mean, you could have done this movie as a serious, like a Susanne Bier film, or if you could have done a Mike Leigh film, you probably should have take some of the action out, but it's so it's I mean, I truly believe that you can tell every story in different ways, right? And this is just there are these layers underneath, which of course is also part of the things I want to tell, is how I mean, I don't know if it's what is the meaning with life. I think that's a big one, but it is how do we find our own meaning down here in a seemingly in a life that's random and meaningless. That's probably what the movie is about.
And it kind of delves a bit into kind of even the concept, like toxic masculinity in Mads's character. We sort of see like all this pent up emotion, and he's only got a few tools of knowing how to deal with that. So was that, within that one character, we kind of get like a glimpse of that, don't we?
Yeah, but I don't know, and it's an unconscious thing, but in every movie I've made, I have this masculine. I do play with this in a fun or in a pathetic way. There is something with this masculinity that speaks to me. Obviously, I'm a man, but there's also something that is very, very. I guess I should talk to my shrink and about it. I'm sure it's something to do with my father or something. But anyway, it's good drama. I love characters that lie to themselves. If I go to the beach now, I will see a lot of guys who are. It's like the small kids. There is something that we have to be like this in order to be a man, and then we're so bad at connecting with emotions, and it's getting better with the new generation. But my generation, my father's, it's horrible. It's like men are there's a lot of good characters there with people, you know, not knowing what's inside of them, which is always good dramatically, right?
And maybe you can just tell us a little bit about, you know, the making of it, both, you know, doing some of those scenes, putting them together, you know, were there any challenges, anything go wrong? And how did you want the film to look? It's got that kind of noir, sort of dark shades aesthetic to it. So, you know, what about a bit about the making of it?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge here was that we shot in -20 degrees because we shot in Sweden, which is you can actually see the breath in the barn sometimes where it was really cold. That was probably the biggest challenge. I don't know. I mean, action scenes are always a challenge, especially when you have as little money as you do have in European film. So, but honestly, it went very smoothly because there are normally there'll be like an incident or something you can, but quite boring. Nothing really happened. We shot the film. Sorry.
And you know, how does it feel to put a film out right now? I've had a whole year not really been able to get out, go to the cinema, and you know, how does it feel to have the film out now and hopefully people will be able to see it on the big screen at some point?
Well, that's great because we've had. I mean, we opened here in Denmark a year ago, then we took it down, then we opened again because of it's been terrible. So it's. I mean, I don't know. It's not as much having a film out. It's just I'm so glad I went to the movie. I've gone to the movies myself 3 times already. I'm glad that the world is getting back on track, right? And I hope people will go to the movies a lot and that they haven't gotten too used to streaming. But let's see what happens. But I'm very glad to be out there with it and hope people will see it.
And what do you hope people will take away? Is it kind of escapism? Is it kind of, you know, giving people something of the unexpected?
Yeah, I mean, most of all, I hope they'll be entertained. That's the primary, and of course, I do hope that. I mean, it actually does show that there's a, how do you say, a way out of. There's a way for everybody, no matter how deep down the coal cellar you are, coal basement. What do you say? You don't have that expression. No matter how deep down the spiral you've gone, there's usually a way back. That's a good message, I think.
And can you quickly tell us what you might work on next? Working with Mads again? Different? Something completely different?
Yes, I've done a script with Nikolai Arcel, who did the Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, and he's directed that. I'm working as a screenwriter again. We also have a project called Monster Florence, which with Antonio Banderas we are going to write for a mini-series. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Amazing. Well, it's been fantastic to speak to you. Thanks so much for your time.